Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Soo, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
I think I'm kind of like I think people like my possession. I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
You just see how games of possession are so intense. How they mean more. I think the U.S. is going to obviously win.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Everyone say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And welcome to the second first episode, maybe the third first episode of Nothing But Respect. My name is Patrick Redford. I'm joined as always by Harry Krinsky and as second time by Maitreyi Anantharaman. Hello.
Hello. I think this is actually my third time.
Third time?
Yeah. I guess one of them wasn't very memorable, but I don't know which.
No,
one
I
you're
remember
forgetting.
I remember every single point you made.
Wow. Also joining us to dispense brilliant insights for probably the first time, we'll have to consult the archives to make sure, is David Roth. Hello.
Hi, what's up? It's certainly the first time. I had asked to come on before, but my significant holdings in Palantir disqualified me from being able to participate in this discourse.
They do have they have really like persnickety PR person who's like, you got to run through them and whatever. Yeah. It's complicated.
Right. Like Peyton has to be on the call. Peyton Pritchard is going to be in a window muted.
Yes, the PR person who runs. There is actually these things where you'll find like that the PR person for LeBron James is also the PR person for Arnold Schwarzenegger's gubernatorial campaign, which is that is actually true.
Super.
It's a guy named Adam Mendelsohn was also the fellow who was the person that Rachel Nichols was talking to on her leaked audio that got her in trouble. So he's sort of like but anyway, maybe Peyton Pritchard's PR person is also the Palantir PR person. Like, who knows?
Would that PR person be on the call?
Sometimes they'll, yeah.
The only time that we had a significant NBA personage on, with all due respect to Patrick and Maitreyi, who've obviously appeared many times on The Distraction, we had Chris Bosch on, and his PR person was on the call. And as soon as Drew started to steer into the fun bag, like the listener question things, where they were like, if there was like a food that was made of farts, like she unmuted, video went on, and was like, Chris actually he's got to not be on this call right now. Actually, it has to happen immediately that he has to leave. He's a great guest for like the 30 minutes that we talked about his book and, playing in the NBA and stuff. But then everything, he was not down to clown on the remembering a guy / answering dumb listener questions part.
I'm glad you brought up the Rachel Nichols thing because it's nice to be reminded that the stuff she was saying was actually bad, because the only thing I really remember from that was that Zombie Deadspin broke some form of that story, and the headline was like something Rachel Nichols - video got sent to us, which is like one of the funniest ways to announce that you have a scoop.
Video got sent to us is still absolutely in circulation in the Defector Slack 5 years on. It just has not cooled down at all. Also, the Deadspin story, as I recall, was amazing because it was basically what they were blogging was their principled refusal to cover the story that had been leaked to them.
Yeah, they were mad at the leaker.
Yeah.
They're like, how dare you send video to us?
Nobody was doing it like them. Amazing stuff.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Distraction, Roth, because I wanted to start. You play, whether you know it or not, a very central role in this podcast lore. You were a guest on the possibly permanently on hiatus Pod Don't Lie with Sam and Stav that I was producing, that then led me to doing some work with Defector, which then led to Patrick complimenting my online ceramics t-shirt, which then eventually led to this podcast.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And I
got sent to him. It was beautiful.
Yeah. It's really nice. That's how it begins.
Well, so I wanted to ask, as the kind of one of the figureheads of the Defector chat show universe, do you have any advice for Patrick, myself, and Maitreyi as we embark on some riffing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I get asked this question a lot because the distraction, it's a juggernaut. I don't want to I'm not even
totally.
talking out of turn there. I mean, it is. We've had the same number of people have listened to it for 9 years. We've not gained a single new listener, which is really great because you want, for us, it's about a clubhouse culture. We're trying to build a place where everybody can feel safe, knowing that they're not going to encounter a listener whose name they don't already know. Right. And then, but otherwise, I mean, to do what we did, obviously, I think it's possible for you guys. You're big talents. I think the one thing that I would, and this is the tip that I generally give to everybody, you better start every episode with one guy just screaming at you, at the listener. If you don't, I think you lose people's attention. So one of you guys is going to have to do some vocal exercises and really come from the diaphragm, and then hit them with we're back, or not, we're back. Obviously, you can't do that. We've
returned.
Yes, that's right. But Drew is very, so he has copyrighted "We're back," and he's litigious. So obviously you can have him on the podcast. That's great. He can say it. If either one of you guys say it, you will hear from him.
Okay, we're gonna get into basketball in a second, but I have one more inside baseball Defector question to ask you guys. You guys are not the most interested in developing extreme parasocial relationships with people on the internet, so it's not.
That's what this podcast is for.
Exactly. Until now, but the one thing that I can reliably expect out of a Defector outing, just as somebody who loosely follows some of you guys on Instagram, is you guys are gonna fucking do karaoke. Yeah, it's the only thing. You guys blog all day, and then once every
sing
year,
all night,
do karaoke. What's going on there? You guys do you know laser tag or mini golf or anything else?
Something I love about this is that we've done. Jasper and I were talking about this. I think we've done karaoke as a group maybe 9 or 10 times.
What the hell?
And it's something very comforting knowing that I know exactly what songs Maitreyi is going to sing. I know exactly who's going to pull Ray Ratto in to sing. And are we good at singing? Not exactly, but we have a good time together. Wait, I have a transition out of Defector bullshit into basketball. At Hooper's Crab House, we got to watch the Indiana Fever lose 81-80 to the Dallas Wings. And we're in the full swing of WNBA season. And wait, actually, no, to sort of triangulate this again, Maitreyi, you're writing a book. Can we talk about that briefly?
Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Breaking news.
It's about Caitlin Clark and the league's
Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports.
Should they do more to protect her? That's mostly what this is about, right?
Yeah. And just about the various seminars they need to have to train people.
Wait, what are these seminars? What is this?
Why aren't they doing that?
Oh, this is a joke about Christine Brennan's book, where this is actually an idea broached in the book that WNBA teams should have held preseason seminars for all the players where they were sort of prepared for Caitlin Clark and the media attention that would follow her.
Incredible.
But that's not actually what the book is about. Can you tell us just briefly what the real thing is?
Yeah, I've been sort of describing it as a much worse version of Breaks of the Game, and a much worse and feminist Zoomer version of Breaks of the Game.
I'm assuming this was not how you pitched it.
No, it's not how I probably brought up Breaks of the Game in my meetings, but I think my agent would have been mad if I kept saying the much worse part.
Can you stop saying much worse to the people that want to give you money?
Sort of reverse negging the publisher. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a strong tactic. Well, I'm very excited to read it. You're surely in the early sort of reporting process for it now, right?
I am, yeah. Now I have to. Now the glow of getting the deal is wearing off, and I have to actually do the work. Unfortunately,
the Publishers Weekly screenshot high only lasts for so long.
I know.
How did that?
Now I'm sort of like, well, I kind of just wanted to see if I could get the book deal. Now
you're like, oh shit, I have to write
yeah.
How did people in your life respond to the Publishers Weekly image sharing? Like, I know that it's probably different because you got like normal friends and stuff, but there's like, that is such a, like, and I've not even pitched a book, but that is such a media adjacent, like you can see in your mind's eye, if you've spent any time in this space, like what the font looks like, whether it says like a very nice deal or at auction or whatever the fucking lingo is. Like, how did that resonate in your life?
I actually don't think I shared that with any normal friends. I don't post a lot of stuff, so I didn't post that.
With the
on
exception
Instagram.
of karaoke videos.
Any normal
I know what you guys do, yeah.
Yep. I don't post stuff about like what's going on in my professional life, but I did post a video of myself performing "I'm Blue" parentheses Daba Dee Daba Die with Ray Ratto at 1 a.m.
That's basically like posting a link to a blog, so it's fun.
I think I just told everyone in person.
Nice. Bespoke. I also like the book is called "You Can't See Me," which I really like as a title.
Ooh, I do as well.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk a little about this WNBA season. We'll eventually get to this green dildo thing, which I want to talk about. But let's first talk about the actual basketball, because that is ultimately more interesting than a bunch of capitalists throwing green penises on the court. What is I'm trying to think of a fun two teams I'm curious about that are sort of like that have maybe established themselves as having interesting seasons are the Dream, who are expected to be good but are like, are really good, and then the Valkyries, and this is not just a homer pick, like I still can't believe that the Valkyries are, in playoff contention after what it was expected, but which was first reported by Patrick Redford as going to be ass.
Yeah, I've caught a lot of blowback for that one. I'm very happy to be wrong, but I was so wrong. I thought they're going to win like 3 games this season.
But let's talk about the Dream. Like, why are they cooking?
Yeah, I think for a long time they were a team that just had a lot of meat on the bone. They were a bad offense. I think the worst offense in the league last year and maybe the year before that. And there was not really any reason they needed to be that bad. So I think some of it is just regression to what they should be under a new head coach. And also they're getting an MVP season from Alicia Gray, who's been great and was one of those players who you sort of thought was just gonna like waste her entire life on bad teams, and now gets to actually be good on a good team.
The Dream and the Valks played last night, and the thing I was sort of struck by is like there are so many cool players on the Dream. It's like you mentioned Gray, and she would be like sort of 4th on my list of like the cool. Like I think Pau Pau is like one of the most incredible rookies to watch this year. She's been awesome.
Yeah, she's great. She slid on draft night, and no one really knew why, and no one knows why now. She was like very obviously going to be a useful professional, and I guess everyone sort of galaxy brained themselves into not picking her, and so she went in the 2nd round. So this guy who like desperately need exactly the player that she is passed on her twice.
That's
to
so
what extent
wild.
has the new, like, I was struck by this when you mentioned it on the distraction, that the new coach is a Florida Gulf Coast like coaching tree, whatever. I don't even know what that would, if it's a women's program, is different than the men's. I know how like whatever, like the Duncan ass FGCU teams played. Has there been like a big stylistic overhaul in terms of how with the new coach, or is it just basically a matter of like the vibe getting better and them having been bad enough for long enough to have accumulated good players?
No, I think there's some, like their bigs are shooting a lot more now. One thing that's very exciting to me is there are not many WNBA opportunities to be a Michigan homer But Naz Hillman is having an incredible season for the Dream.
Where did she go to college?
She's our one representative in the league. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure I watched every single game she played in college, and I don't remember her taking a 3 at all. And now she's like legitimately good at them. So yeah, there's some of it. The funny thing about the FGCU stuff was like he ran this kind of gimmicky, like only 3s or shots at the rim offense, but he was pretty candid that was just kind of an adaptation. Like that was just because he couldn't recruit tall players because they were all going to go to Stanford or South Carolina. And so you have to find these tweeners, athletic tweeners, and drill that stuff into them. And so he's like, it's okay if Brittany Griner takes a mid-range shot because she's good.
Like Brittany Griner. Yeah, that makes sense. It's good coaching.
She took at least 1 3 last night too.
Yeah, she was taking more at the beginning of the season. I feel like that's a thing in any kind of basketball. The like preseason, the center's taking 3s.
Yeah. Every year, like clockwork.
Yeah, I've seen too many Andre Drummond Instagram.
He's ready to step out and expand his range.
It actually is kind of, now that I'm thinking about
it's a Tristan Thompson we've never seen before.
He's in the best shape of his life.
Hell yeah.
I wonder now if this sort of specific trick was invented in Detroit, because now I'm thinking like every Detroit big man is like, you got B-ball Paul's going to be shooting 3s. Fucking
Charlie Villanueva has really added range to his game this season.
Exactly. The Naz Hillman thing is first of all also go blue, but I think the stat that it's something in this ballpark, and it is really crazy. She shot 6 3s her first 3 years, and then I shot 130 this year. So it's just like to have that difference of that is like a basketball, almost like you're probably sore in different areas after a game if your style of play is that different.
I really can't Brooke Lopez procedures.
Yeah, she has. Yeah, the Brooke Lopez. And he totally did change the geometry of the Bucks when he started shooting 3s. So it makes sense.
That's
it's cool for her because she's a second-round pick, and it's actually just hard to stick around for that long and to be able to have that time to transform your game. And so, that's always been a problem with the WNBA. It's just like a very difficult development environment because you don't get that time usually. And so it's nice that she got it and has done the thing.
This was kind of an idiot's insight that I got from your last distraction bit where we were talking about the WNBA, because the question of how the Valkyries manage to be good is that just is not. It happens every now and then in leagues where there hasn't been expansion in long enough, like the Las Vegas NHL team being like an example of this, where it's just sort of there were good players, and you have to, if you draft savvily, you can start not from 0 but from like halfway there. The point that you made, because the WNBA has this like incredibly ambitious expansion plan that's going to roll out over the course of like 5 years, right? That is it just the Valkyries are good because there's like more good players than there are minutes, given how few teams there are in the WNBA? Like that's the dumb version of me figuring it out, but is there like more to it than that?
No, I think that's basically it. And then I imagine it's diminishing returns with every additional expansion
by the time you finally get your Detroit team, they're going to be like, all right, good.
Yeah, I'm going around town like Patrick being like, we're going to be awful.
This time we actually are.
For real.
That makes, because, I've listeners of the show know that I've long been obsessed with Julie Van Loo, but like even she was signed to she was a classic sort of like wayward expansion player who finds themselves on the roster. And then even she gets cut. It's like they're clearly is just such a so much talent in so little spots, and so already at this highest level, the margins are so small, and it's about really how can you fit in with the best players that it makes sense that I'm sure like there are probably starter level women who are buried on a bench somewhere that just like haven't found the right opportunity, and will not find it in Detroit in a couple of years, but maybe we'll find it in Toronto.
Van Loo is an interesting person to bring up because I think she typifies like a couple of things that have really surprised me about the Valks. Like we kind of talked about this on the last time you came on, and you wrote about this very well in the case of the Mercury, and that like just having a scouting department, like spending money on scouting, especially like overseas, is such a competitive advantage. And like the Merc just like buffed their team out with like 5 or 7 players just from Europe who are like 29-year-old rookies who like all are kind of good. And then like the flip side of that is like Eurobasket was during the season this year, and JVL was like one of the players who left the Valks, and they were signing like Chloe Bibby and Letitia Amihir on 7-day contracts, and then like they were like stepping in and like making plays sort of out of nowhere. And that was like shocking to think. Like in the NBA context, if you sign a guy to a 10-day, that's because it's like February and you're trying to tank, and so you want like a guy who kind of stinks to soak up minutes. But like there are just people out there who aren't signed who could like step in and play minutes, which is like kind of wild.
There was a good clip of Pods mic'd up at a Valks game, and like I think 40% of the things he said were encouraging Joe Lacob to sign Letitia Amihir to a actual contract.
I went to a Valks game with like 25 or 30 people who like didn't really watch basketball or like know who any players were. And
you went to a game with 30 people?
Yeah, Kaylin Kaler can't touch
I know.
me. Yeah.
God.
We're spread out over 3 rows. It was great. But one of them turned to me and they pointed at Pods and they're like, who is that guy? Why is he so enthusiastic?
It must have been nice to actually be able to answer it. Like you weren't like, that's Jason Sudeikis, the star of Ted Lasso. But the idea of him being like, no, he's just like a Warriors guy who sits at center court and freaks out and drinks cocktails out of little plastic cups for the entire game. It's like, it's nice to have an answer ready to give in that situation.
Yeah, it's like, yes, his hair looks like that on purpose, and his game sort of suggests, it all fits.
Yeah. Pods mic'd up at a Valks game sounds like if an LLM was trying to come up with a name for a Valkyries podcast. It's like written in the back of a dolly image. It's like, what the fuck?
Seriously though, why does he care that much? Is he like just
because he loves supporting women, Roth?
Is
that outlandish to you?
I don't know.
Is that such a ridiculous idea to
I
you?
assume that ball is life for all of these. He's the only NBA guy that I know that is basically at the like Sudeikis, Jake from State Farm level of ubiquity though. Like any of these guys could be doing it. Maybe he's the one. Maybe he's the best ally in the NBA. Maybe that is as simple as that.
Well, I will say, as a Warriors fan, it's a shame he can't shoot, because every piece of information about Pods is that he's just the man, is like a great teammate, about all the right things, all this stuff, and so it does seem like he just like loves the Bay and like wants to support the team and is excited about the women's basketball. Like it really does seem like, not that you need to be the highest value guy or highest like most ethical man in the world to like go to a fucking women's basketball game, but he just seems like a stand-up dude.
I'm following this line of logic where it's like, okay, Joe Lacob owns both the Valkyries and the Warriors. What other people own both an NBA team and a WNBA team? What players could show up? And unfortunately, I think Cy family, Michael Porter Jr. courtside at a Liberty game, which is like not something anyone wants to see.
He said it on the Steiny podcast, which we will talk. Honestly, maybe we should. Well, actually, no, we got to say
no.
that.
We should. We'll get into that later. But
Michael Podcast Jr.
I'm sort of relieved every time, because now you've brought up the Michael Porter Jr. thing like 4 times, and I'm relieved that we don't stop and talk about it. And you're like, no, we'll get to that.
You know that it's coming, and yet like it's still right. It's got a kind of
I have a little more time to steel myself.
Slasher movie fake out thing, like, oh, that was just the cat. But at some point, Michael Porter Jr. and his fucking blonde hair is going to step out from behind that door and sink a cleaver deep into our back.
Tell you what's up with these females. But
these females.
I have like I have a larger order question for you, Maitreyi, which is like, how has this season been a cool season to you? Like, I think if you think about like some of the largest storylines of last year, like many of them have carried over, but like it's been a weird Caitlyn year. Like Paige has come in, but the wings are super mega busted. So just like, I don't know, just very briefly, like, how have you felt like this season has been?
Yeah, I think in this stretch, particularly, the injuries have been kind of a bummer. Like, I think Roth, we had talked about how the Liberty and Lynx were going to play each other like 4 times in 2 weeks. And like, I guess ordinarily that could be cool, but, you know, there's no Stewie and there's no Fee. And so it just loses a little bit of juice. And that's one risk you take when you schedule a team's matchups all in like 2 weeks. And so, yeah, you know, no Caitlin. Angels like missed a lot of time. The Liberty just haven't really been healthy at all together. So yeah, it's feels kind of weird, and I'm kind of preparing for this to just be more of a thing as the season gets longer and as there's actually schedule expansion. This is the longest WNBA season yet, and I think also players and coaches are going to have to figure out how to just manage themselves across a season. I mean, we've talked about this, Patrick, especially with the Aces. Like the load management has basically been non-existent. The starters play tons of minutes, and they're very short rotations. Some of that is unavoidable because there are only so many roster spots. But I think everyone's just going to have to figure out how to really pace themselves across a longer season. And that's a drawback, I think, of a longer season. I've always felt like a big strength of the WNBA's product is like stars are generally available and can play like high effort every single night in a way that you just can't if you're playing 82 games. And I don't think it's going to be 82 anytime soon, but it's now just like gone up a lot in a very short period of time.
The Liberty have had the injury bug, but I also sensed and so I'm not committed to this because I don't think I've watched enough to say for sure this, but that there was some like kind of effort issues early on in the Liberty season, like when that initial Valks game they played, they just like didn't seem like they were playing that hard in the beginning of the year, and they do have this. I found myself wanting to be like, well, you know, they're coasting, it's the regular season, you know, but that type of coasting is way more people associate with the NBA when there are 82 games, and it's like not the type of it's not playing into the benefit of the W, which is that the stars are playing and everybody needs to play so hard, and it's all that. So do you even buy my conceit? Like, was there some
well,
kind of
I think some of it is just that's what the Liberty are. Like, they're a low-key kind of infuriating team. I don't know that I would enjoy being a fan of.
Yeah, well, they had that players-only meeting. Like, they definitely, like, they had the kind of trappings of, like, hey, why isn't this team, like, locked in? But they're just so talented, I guess, that they can be, kind of.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to have Marine Johannes run in a straight line sideways and shoot with her offhand from 35 feet away, and that just kind of fixes. She was doing. Did you watch the most recent Lynx Liberty game? It was without Stewie and without
yes.
Fee, and it was like awesome. And Marine was just going totally crazy in the fourth. It was so fun.
Yeah, she was. She has been a bright spot, I guess.
She sounds like a destination watch. Like, I don't watch as much WNBA as I should, but everything that I've seen in the conversations about her is that basically she's going to do like 3 of the coolest and 3 of the most like inexplicable avant-garde things that you've ever seen in any game. Like, it's like if you removed like Russell Westbrook's kind of like the MVP years, and it was just like late stage, like this new like blue period Westbrook, but also like but was younger and did not have the accumulated track record to justify all of it.
I have some JVL second quarter minutes I can show you later, Rob, to get you really excited.
It's funny you bring up Russ because Giddy very evocatively described Courtney Williams as if Russ went to therapy. And I feel like if there's been a breakout star, I guess more off the court than on the court, it's been a big Courtney Williams year.
It has, yeah. I feel like it's maybe been a better off-court year than on-court year for her. It's been kind of rocky season, but yeah.
Are we going to get the Draymond thing, like, or the podcast P. Like there's too much stud buds. It's affecting the on the court. There's too much streaming. That would be an interesting that would be I wonder if we'll get there. I hope not.
We're setting up another fake out.
Yeah, stop talking
Michael
about
Porter
athlete
Jr. thing.
podcast.
You can't. You can only hide from him for so long. You just keep climbing up into the attic. You know he's gonna come up there. You can't get out.
All right, hey, you asked for it. We're changing topics. We're going green dildos on the court. I do want to talk about this a little bit, but I want to give it the appropriate amount of oxygen, which is not too much, because like I actually think the most actually compelling thing about the whole dildo thing is how little people give a shit about it. It kind of just seems like everybody like undressed it and was like, okay, this is stupid fucking crypto bullshit. I don't care. But let's go through it just to in case people don't know, because there was actually the story's like moving a little quickly and it can be hard to follow a little bit. So I'll give you the skinny, which is like maybe 3 weeks ago, over the course of 10 days, 3 green dildos were thrown on the court in the at WNBA games, kind of disrupting the game. Initially, at least it was received with a little bit of like, this is kind of, even from within the W, like, oh, this is kind of funny. Like is this like this, you know, lighthearted, goofy, you know, there's a lot of fun stuff going on in W games, like in between quarters and stuff. Like, it's this kind of goofy extension of that. Very quickly, it was like, okay, no, this is now like getting annoying. This is entering into more, maybe like one dildo was kind of fun. Yeah, go ahead.
I was in France while this was happening, mm-hmm. and so I sort of had like a morons following of it. Was the second time it happened, was that like, when did it start to turn, I guess is my question.
My sense was after the second, like there was the Sophie Cunningham tweeted about like, I hope I don't get hit with a dildo. And that was still in like, haha. And then the next day.
And then the next time she like actually did get hit. And that was the third time.
And it didn't happen like 2 games in one day, basically. Like there was a period of time where it was not the sort of thing, like whatever it was initially, which was just kind of inexplicable at some point. And again, it's part of, to Harry's point, like when it was starting to happen more often, it was just a matter of like waiting to find out what type of exhausting shithead was behind it. Like it was being co-opted and it sucked. So it was just basically a question of like, is it a shitcoin thing? And then it was a shitcoin thing.
Exactly. And so it's this group of, you know, the green dildo whatever's claimed responsibility for these things, and like, you know, the idea was that it was this like viral stunt, and it was like associated with a crypto coin, dildo coin, a whole NFT package. Not so much anymore. You're not hearing about various.
We're not doing they got rid of them because of woke.
Yes, exactly. There's no more. Well, now that we're in woke 2, they have them, but they're just green dildos.
We're doing hard tech now. It's fungible tokens. Exactly. We switched it up.
It's an actual physical button you can press, and it like
jarringly
cuts
fungible.
A tree down every time you press the button. But okay, the here's what I want to talk about, because I did kind of like I did a little exploring into this, and like I have two things I want to say. One is sort of obvious, which is like that the actual most insulting, beyond the part that this is like, obviously it's just like juvenile or whatever to like throw a dildo on in anywhere to disrupt anything, let alone a WNBA game. It's like whatever. It is also just like profoundly not funny. Like there's not even the amount of like effort to comedy is like so off, and like that is almost the because it's so easy to just be like, whatever, this is juvenile, stupid, immature, not something I would associate with. You can then immediately drop into like, it's also just like not layered or interesting or even sort of like if you look at the early days, the lineage of like internet trolling, which has had obviously various levels of fun, but there is some like really high level, impressive troll jobs that have gone on. And to see the like copy of a copy of a copy of a copy that we've ended up here, which is like a kind of using this like outsider, like big air quotes, direct action technique to immediately, like the biggest air quotes, big giant green dildo air quotes, to like shill a coin in without anything other than like, you know, raising awareness for the crypto community. It's like, find a new slant. Like that's the part that is like was interesting to me, was how little juice it was and how uninteresting the there was.
That's sort of
our coworker Brandy wrote a good blog about it, and her point was the punchline basically just ends up being like, haha, women.
Yeah, LOL women.
LOL.
Which is like, it's sort of interesting to think about in the context of like how much more popular the W has gotten. And I think when people talk about that, there's this sort of assumption that will like continue and the growth will be relatively frictionless. And I think this is like a pretty like alarming and stark reminder that like there's still just crazy amounts of misogyny from any like man with an internet connection. Like you're still just going to meet this like really nauseating level of resistance.
Yeah, this was like the genesis of my book, sort of, which is in October. I went to cover the finals, and I came home and I just felt so invigorated by all of it. One, because it had come like at the end of this really like stupid and noisy WNBA season where there was like all this nonsense online, and it was just kind of relieving to be on an actual, like standing on an actual basketball court at shoot around and seeing like, oh, under all the layers of nonsense, there's actually some game there. And the basketball was so good, and I just could like really feel the energy in the arenas, or like, you know, the bootleg t-shirt sellers outside Barclays. I remember walking back to my hotel in Minneapolis, and I passed these like valet guys who were, you know, talking about the links, and I was like, wow, it's everywhere. So I came back and I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down and figure out what the shape of this book is going to be. I took a couple of weeks off to do that. And then the election happened, and it was this very like jarring feeling where it was like, oh, actually, no, women can just be demeaned and assaulted without any consequence. And so, yes, the book is very much about those two feelings living alongside each other.
That's like, that's like a lot to have to deal with. And that like fucking sucks that, you know, the growth of the league is still so dependent on like winning over sports fans like that. But like basically as it grows larger and larger, they like will necessarily become a bigger and bigger target, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything gets kind of assimilated into this broader, suckscape of shit that's like what Harry is talking about, like memes that aren't memes, people like creating AI sludge to capitalize on the attention of people to stuff like this. I mean, this was a classic My3 blog was about the YouTube videos that were created. It's like Angel Reese retiring after steroid incident. Just like shit that was completely made up, being generated by some guy like, you know, half the way around the world because he's like, Americans literally cannot stop looking at their phones. I can make $1,000 off of this.
Caitlin's moving to Europe. She's quitting the league and moving to Europe. Lots of people actually believe that she has quit the WNBA and moved to Europe.
I think that I have talked to you about this, but my father-in-law, who has generally a very wholesome YouTube algorithm, he watches it all the time. He doesn't have TV. For the most part, it's just showing him like people using metal detectors or rebuilding old engines. Just anything that's loud that you can watch on your phone while I'm trying to read or write in the home. That's generally his favorite stuff. But every now and then, like I've heard the algorithm feeding him one of those stories about like Angel Reese being suspended after punching Caitlin Clark. And I'd be like, that didn't happen. Like, this is made up. And I've actually showed him your blog, and I was like, if you see like a screen that looks like this at the start of your video, it's fucking fake. Like, they made it up. And but the idea of like suddenly those players being like prominent keywords or whatever, or prominent enough to generate that kind of garbage, I guess. But I think about this a lot with the sports that I tend to write about more, that like you're talking about the experience of like being at the actual finals and seeing that the excitement is real, and being a part of what all of that extra shit is leveraged on. It makes you appreciate the thing itself, but then also the stuff that is being leveraged off of it, like the general, like the 6 hours of regular season NBA discourse where Kendrick Perkins sits completely stock still on a set waiting to say the dumbest shit you've ever heard in your life. It's like that. It kind of sucks. Like, I feel like the actual interest that this stuff generates is not being handled very responsibly by the people who should be stewarding it, it feels like.
I want to provide a slight optimistic angle.
A defensive Kendrick.
Yeah, okay. Defensive Kendrick. Exactly. The Moses Moody. I was like watching the draft the other week, and I was like, Kendrick Perkins should only do the draft. He's so like post-truth artistic genius mode when he's covering the draft. But because again, I'm whatever. I'm looking at these articles. I believe it or not, I'll tell you who's doing wonderfully thorough coverage of the dildo incident. They are our good friends at Barstool Sports, and they have an exclusive interview with the guy who threw the dildos.
Wow, he talked to Barstool? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a huge get.
Wow, who would have thought that? I peeped around his Twitter followers, and it is so funny. The green dildo, the Mr. Green Dildo is following like 23 people, and like 7 of them are like Big Cat and fucking KFC radio and all that stuff. This is the most like also followed by Kevin O'Connor person I've ever heard of.
Waiting to say Kevin O'Connor's name like this.
Well, maybe if there's a
It's crazy that he got hired at Andreessen Horowitz too. Wow.
A16. So yeah, a big. Actually, never mind. I'll spare you the imagery of an egg dildo. Okay. In listening to this, Mr. KFC was like, God, everybody's talking about the green dildo thing. And I paused and I was like, everybody's talking about the green dildo thing? Like,
is that true, Kevin Clancy?
Who's talking about the green dildo thing? Because I really was like, basically, other than like random little conversations about the meta text of it all, nobody I interacted with was talking about it. And so, and I was like, I wonder if this was like, could hopefully be seen as like a death rattle of this, of a certain type of trolling here, where it was like, it feels like it was such a fail and continues to be such a fail. Like the all this effort into this troll job, and it amounted to an exclusive interview that has 10,000 views on YouTube. So I pulled some other videos in my YouTube to compare the 10,000, because I was like, 10,000 for a Barstool video is like, they have a lot of algorithmic juice. Like it kind of seems like actually nobody cares about the green dildo thing. So I'm gonna give you some videos that have more views than the exclusive interview with Mr. Dildo. We recap the first weekend of Barstool Beach House with Tommy Smokes. 50,000. 11 obscure facts about Generation 1 Pokemon. 300,000.
Is that also a Barstool video?
No. Generation. Exactly. Testing A$AP Rocky and Spike Lee's music knowledge. 139,000. Top 5 lies in Epstein footage, all lowercase, 1.1 million views. Mark Maron's war against anti-woke comics, 119,000. That's 19 green dildo videos about Mark Maron's war on anti-woke comedy. Drake, Lo-Fi Mix, God's Plan, Hotline Bling, Passion Fruit as 2 words, which is funny because in the song it's 1 word. 2.4 million. Long-term concerns for Caleb Williams, ? 20,000. So I'm like, maybe it's not a story.
I don't know. I feel like it did. It did get a lot of buzz. I feel like a lot of people were talking about it for like a week or so. Maybe it's just that it faded quickly.
Right. It's like,
yeah, I sort of buy that it doesn't really have the juice anymore.
Also, the fact that these men are cowards. Like, these are just some of the dumbest and least principled people that this country has ever produced. And the people that were throwing the dildos got charged with, like, they got charged like with assault. Yeah. Like, it wasn't the sort of thing where it was like, you know, disorderly conduct or whatever. Like the fucking lumpy shut-in guy that was arrested, I want to say it was in Chicago. There was one of the dudes was like, he looked in the photo as if he had vomited on the front of his shirt after finding out that he was being charged with assault, which is a perfectly reasonable response to being fucking charged with assault because you wanted to go viral. Yeah. In your community of other guys who are wearing possibly vomited on shirts.
Something I want to find out is like, did their meme coin thing, like, did they make money? Like, was this a profitable endeavor for them? And did that money just exclusively go to their bail fund after they were charged with assault?
It does seem like I mean, classically, they're like talking about this as if it's the interview was like, we're growing community. It's going to like, it's not going to explode. It's going to like fade out in a whimper, you know? Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I sold all my holdings already. Like, yeah, I divested instantly.
I love it when they talk about community as if like the whole idea of it isn't that you fuck over all your buddies by pulling the rug on them. Like that somehow that's like just a really beautiful vision of living in America in 2025.
The other funny thing about because we've the even, and I guess to Mr. KFC's credit, he was very dubious of, he was just like, this is stupid. Like, why are you're just trying to shill a coin, you know? So it's even like that even in with the slightly, well, whatever. And what's funny is anytime you get to that point with these crypto people where you're like, it seems like what you're doing is selling, like just selling a coin. They go, well, you know, what's great about America is everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
It's like, what are we talking about here? Speaking of somebody who is entitled to their own opinion.
And speaking of more than 10,000 views, a video uploaded 9 days ago entitled A Moment of Honesty has 43,000 views. And do you want to know who uploaded that video? That's right. Jonte Porter's brother, Michael Porter Jr.
Well, we knew it was coming.
Is this on your guys' radar, Maitreyi and Dave?
I've seen clips of it. So I've seen like 7, and then I kind of looked at the shirt that he was wearing in all of them and was like, is this one interview that he said all of these things?
I didn't realize this until you pointed out to me too, where it's like, oh yeah, he really is just like going off. And I right before this, I just watched the entire 70-minute episode.
Cool.
One of the most striking things about it is that like these guys just are interrupting each other the entire time. And so like they'll be talking about whether or not MPJ conducted an unethical DM slide on Bob's girl. And then the little Nelk boy with the big head will out of nowhere just be like, you ever fall for a bad female on the sideline of the game? It's just like, it's so fucking stupid.
Wait, so was he talking on, was he on the Nelk podcast?
Let me set the scene.
Please.
Okay. So,
because it's an awesome string of events.
Because I'm familiar with Michael Porter Jr.'s solo podcast exclusively through Patrick blogging about
Curious Mike.
Curious Mike.
Okay.
Yes. So
classic opportunity to hear him say "that's crazy" to a guy on his team.
No, that's definitely tough. I just looked at the Curious Mike channel. A lot of his Nikola Jokic interview has like about 1 million views. He conducted an interview with some guy trying to get to the truth about Epstein, and those have like 2K views. So they're clearly trying to silence his bold thoughts. So he appears to be friends with the smaller of the two Nelk boys, most recently seen interviewing Benjamin Netanyahu and then finding out that like who he is, and then being told like, damn, bro, maybe we shouldn't have done that shit.
He's way less bussin' than we had been told.
No cap, for real. And they appear. This guy appears to be friends with MPJ because the start of the podcast is all about like, oh yeah, when we're out in LA, it's crazy with these females, and we found out that MPJ picks up the check for them, which is like, I guess, a nice thing to do. And I think, Harry, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's appeared on this show before, right?
I'm not sure if he's appeared on this one, but I do know he's no stranger to, the let's call it this sort of like loose diet manosphere universe.
Yes. And this is like, I guess this is sort of primo off-season stuff. Like, we're situated basically halfway between like the end of the finals and the start of the season. And so like Zach Lowe is in Croatia. Every NBA player is just like on vacation. Nothing is happening. And so of course into that silence comes MPJ. And this is not the full Nelk Boys show. It's the smaller one. The one with the really big head.
So here's something that I do know about it is Steiny's offshoot podcast where he started interviewing porn stars. That is the birth of the show. Is that he would interview. It's called One Night with Steiny or One Night Stand with Steiny or some shit like that. And it is like the first 50 episodes are with either porn stars or like OnlyFans models, etc. And then he's moved into like this.
Yes. And what this is just asking MPJ the dumbest questions of all time and just kind of letting him cook. And I will say the shocking thing about this podcast is he appears to be the most reasonable of the three fellas on there.
Yeah.
He talks about, so the video we referenced earlier, the like moment of truth video, he's going on what he describes as a celibacy journey this summer. And he gets into that a little bit, gets into why he's doing that. Obviously he had a bunch of comments from this one interview go viral sort of at different times where he talked about, when he meets a woman he likes, he will quote test them.
You should say female.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, he actually did address that. He talked about how he quote got in trouble for saying female because one of the guys asked him if he has to catch himself talking shit to these female referees in the NBA, and he was basically like, "Bruh, that's crazy." Which is sort of like you have to just assume that like after every question someone says that. But he was talking about he needs to test people by showing them Andrew Tate videos, which is really what a guy. It's also like he is about to be the best player on a team for the first time, and it's like the Nets have assembled. Imagine you're a rookie and you go to practice and you're like, my vet this season is Michael Porter Jr., a guy who's going to teach me how to operate.
He's going to teach me how to shave 3 lines into my eyebrow and forget how to read.
It's like the look at my lawyer meme.
Yeah, it is 100%. Look at my vet dog. I am going to the CBL.
Dude.
And I think I sort of like, okay, why do we care? Why is this interesting? Like, MPJ is himself not like a good enough player necessarily where like he is like anyone's favorite player in the league and you're concerned that like, impressionable youths who look up to this guy, like maybe you do, are going to like find out that he's like a shithead misogynist. It's more just like this broader cultural realignment of like a lot of sports and like men's sports in particular, obviously, it feels like it's very right wing in a lot of ways to just like or talk about sports. And for forever, like basketball has kind of been like the bastion against that. Like you think about like baseball and football and the labor force is like way more conservative coded. And to me, it's just sort of striking that like, I don't want to call him a young star, but like a guy who was a starter on a championship level team is basically just like a full-time manosphere resident during the offseason. And that just feels like a sort of, I guess, very large canary in this particular coal mine.
Yeah, he's not the first such dude. I'm just off the top of my head, Andrew Bogut was pretty overtly on this shit by the time his career ended. Patrick's favorite player growing up, Spencer Hawes, also very conservative, and
right.
and a friend of, I mean, like a personal friend of Patrick's.
Seattle,
I don't want to say anything too bad about him, but but for all of that, like, I think the part of it that feels ominous to me is that those guys they had like a personality type that is also identifiable, which is like the guy that thinks he's the smartest dude in the locker room, and that is like an obnoxious type of athlete that's existed for as long as I've been paying attention to sports. And like half the time they wind up going insane. Eric Shao was a pitcher for the Padres. I remember when I was a kid, and he like converted 5 members of that pitching staff to the John Birch Society. They became like members of it. Like being the smartest guy in a pro sports locker room is not necessarily the most impressive thing. The bit that's darker about this to me is that Michael Porter Jr. is not the smartest guy in a locker room and does not consider himself the smartest guy in the locker room. He is just like a bang average idiot adult jock. Like I think he would see himself as that. That he's like whatever it is that he believes he's getting from these Andrew Tate videos, it's like the same thing that a 15-year-old with no light in his eyes is getting from them. Like it's not the sort of thing where he's like, there's a worldview here. This is just what the algo is feeding him. And he's like, damn, that's crazy every time he watches it.
Yeah, sometimes that simply is crazy.
Yeah, maybe there's no reason to overthink it. But was it, I question about, I'm assuming you're going to blog the Porter thing.
I'm working on it now.
Yeah, this is like how I'm choosing to consume my information about this is I just let Patrick be my poison taster, and then he's like, that's all right, you can live through this, and then I'll read his blog, but I'm not going to just dip my finger in and be like trying it myself. The thing that I was struck by, and I hadn't had that much experience of the Nelk boys. I'm fucking grown. I don't really have time in my life for that. But I saw bits from previous interviews they'd done with Donald Trump and with Benjamin Netanyahu. And this is a common...
the big three.
The big three. Michael Porter Jr. as well, yeah. He's really providing a lot of the athleticism in that trio.
You need someone to space the floor.
Yeah, absolutely, because those two guys are just otherwise under the basket eating space.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the Nets team is gonna be.
Disrespectful to Danny Wolf, whose politics we don't know. But what I'll say about the Nelk shit that I saw is that they had that like, it's almost like a buffering effect. Like if your computer if you need to like get a new version of your browser and you're getting that little color wheel a lot, you can see the like visible buffering effect in the Nelk boys when they talk. Like I understand that they're very successful and that they made a lot of money doing this stuff. They are like sub-replacement level conversationalists, and that is instantly identifiable, that they are just like not quick, not good listening, like, and also don't have anything to say. That was definitely also Michael Porter Jr.'s in the bits of his podcast that Patrick featured, where he'd be like talking to a porn star or Nikola Jokic and just sort of basically being like whatever the bussin' version of literally just going duh is. Like he was doing that. So all of those guys on the same set, let alone like at a sushi restaurant in Los Angeles waiting for Michael Porter to pick up the check. That I can't even imagine. But like how hard to listen to was the podcast when it's like 385 IQ guys chopping it up?
It is alarming, like for what they're saying, but also like they just talk over each other constantly. And it's just like two guys will be having a stupid argument, and then the other one will come in with a non sequitur. Like it was MPJ towards the end where he's like, "You guys wish you were black," just while they're arguing about like whether or not you can DM the same woman at the same time for like the 75th time in the episode.
David, you bring up something that about their kind of lack of charisma and how did we get here, that I think talking about the sort of where all of this is happening media-wise is useful, because it's all happening on YouTube, and the universe of like vlogger, internet personalities, sort of postmodern, famous for being famous, and then the podcast universe, basically like 4 years ago, collapsed into each other. And you, in the sort of attention economy land grab, the Nelk boys won a lot of land. They won, and so like,
do you know how?
I think for being very savvy about, SEO stuff.
That makes sense. That it would be like that you could actually grind your way to a position that otherwise is not achievable on the merits if you like gig the shit enough and promote it enough.
There's that, but then there is also like, I guess they were making, I don't like their content, whether they're talking or jumping off buildings or whatever, but they were doing the type of, it was basically like evil Mr. Beast shit. Like these are the same people that dropped a 7,000 pound Zyn tub on Tucker Carlson's house. So they were coming up in this,
urbanists.
Novelty, excitement, more expensive cameras than the iPhones. Like they are able to compete in this kind of attention economy being stupid. But then because podcasts is something where you are at least ostensibly not trying to put forth ideas and have research or whatever, they were able to horizontally move into that space. And that's why you get this really uncanny feeling of like complete idiots feeling confident enough to talk about this stuff. And it comes in the interview where they started talking actually about women's basketball, and it wasn't so much that they were saying like vile misogynist stuff, though they were. It was like, oh, you guys have like no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like it was like what you're buffering on in a conversation with somebody, and you're spinning your wheels saying a sentence until the real sentence comes, but the real sentence never came. It was.
Yeah. There was I actually, the WNBA part was one of the most alarming, jaw-dropping parts.
I did listen to that actually.
Okay. Do you want to say what you heard?
I remember like, what if Caitlyn could dunk? I think.
Yeah.
There was a lower the rims segment.
There was a lower the rim segment.
Thoughts
They said
of dog level.
Paige Buckner was supposed to be fire, right?
Paige Buckner. Yeah.
Paige Buckner was supposed to be
Buckner.
fire.
Yeah.
And then
she
the other
never
one
should have been playing first base in the 9th inning. Dave Stapleton's on the bench. She can't get around anymore. Her knees are fucking shot.
They also were talking about this viral quote from Dana Teresi about how the bus driver made more than them. And then the one who wasn't the Nuck Boy admitted that he falls for AI bullshit videos all the time, and they just kind of left it there. And clearly, like, that's what he thinks. And they were all like, oh, yeah, but Caitlyn, this is Caitlyn's league, basically. But MPJ does know ball. He said he grew up in the Fisa Collier, and they played one-on-one all the time as kids.
And he said he's from the same town as Sophie Cunningham. Mm-hmm. They're both from Columbia, Missouri. Don't imagine that you're from that city, and those are the two professional basketball players.
I would like to bet
produced.
all of the money I own on Sophie Cunningham, Curious Mike podcast appearance within the next 12 months.
Oh, my.
I think so.
Days. It is imminent. The people are
Well, she's
talking.
out injured. Is she out for the rest of the season?
I don't know. It's possible.
I know
That
it was
injury
really
was like
serious.
Wow, I've
last
been here,
night,
but-
right?
It hadn't happened in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna find out that like 18 years ago, like YouTube like poisoned the water in Missouri to create like perfect SEO grabbing sports people. The last thing I want to say about the Michael Porter, about the politics or about what is actually important about this beyond just sort of making fun of him is there is a funny thing where, and I think a little bit we ran into this with the Kyrie vaccine thing. It's like we want our athletes to be themselves, and then it's like, well, wait a second.
Yeah, not like that.
Not that self.
Can
Not
you be
that self.
right? Can you be a different guy, but authentically? It would just be really nice if you were.
And so it is this funny thing where it clearly Michael Porter Jr. is very relaxed on this interview. He is very relaxed.
He pulls out his phone and starts live streaming at one point.
And so
It's just fucking exhausting. It's just like the oldest 16-year-old in America. The Nelk guys are like 32, right?
Yes.
Like those are fully grown boys.
their teeth are infants.
Wait, sorry, Harry. What were you saying?
My point is, it is this tricky thing where like there's maybe the sort of more conservative angle of sports has like captured or is a slightly safer space to seem like you can be your authentic self. It might just be Michael Porter Jr. is one of one and he's like a free thinker in his own right. I mean, it is just amazing to release a front-facing video apologizing for being a womanizer and then 3 days later go on the Nelk Boys show. Like I just
so
can't. I can't. That level of like.
Well, he announced his celibacy journey, so
Yes.
Celibacy journey is such a good phrase. That is I mean, beyond the sort of like words that don't appear in the Bible aspect of it. That like wouldn't have been possible for someone to say.
Celibacy journey might appear in the Bible.
I guess. I mean,
We
like
did talk about that actually.
people do be having celibacy journeys in the Bible, but the idea of like 3 years ago, Michael Porter Jr. would never have been able to form those words in his mouth, and now it just sort of feels like something that I don't think he's doing anything for the first time. There's like other YouTubers that he saw that were on celibacy journeys, and he was like, that actually seems crazy and tough, and I should try it.
The most intriguing thing that he said, which was sort of like abandoned fairly quickly because those guys don't have an attention span, where he was like, at some point in my life, I want to go off and like live simply, basically in the woods for 2 years, and just take a couple $1,000s with me, leave the phone at home. And then one of the Nuck boys was like, 2 years is crazy, bro. And MPJ was like, okay, yeah, 6 months. And then they just abandoned that.
That's the Wemby off season.
Oh well, yeah. If we got time, I would have to talk about
living as a monk.
I do like the idea of MPJ living simply, like just having like not a celibacy journey, but more of like a Walden sort of experience. Because I feel like this is a guy that like can't cook an egg, right? Like he's got to be like one of the DoorDash power users among his NBA cohort, like just a simple man who is operated entirely by and through his phone.
Oh my God, dude.
So the idea of him just like getting a cabin somewhere and like splitting logs, like that motherfucker is not making a fire. And I say that with, it's fine. Not everybody has to know how to do stuff like that, but that is not in his skill set.
It's funny you bring up Wemby because I'm now just imagining if Wemby had to deal with being MPJ's teammate for one season, he would become an eco-terrorist.
Yeah, I think he's. Well, I have shared with you my Wemby theory.
Well, can you share it again?
Oh,
It's
tell me.
really
That I
good.
think there's like some
I'm the number one
latent
hater.
evil in him.
That's what
Preaching
I'm
to the
talking
choir here.
Yeah,
Wait,
obviously.
It was as soon as he selected Kevin O'Connor to do his like end of rookie season long sit down interview.
Have you guys started
I was
watching?
raising my eyebrow.
No, I mean, even this whole Wemby campaign that is got you're telling me the same guy who went to try to become a monk and was sort of conspicuously iPhone footage style pictured being a monk is the
his
same
ass.
guy who's got a one of those things where you curate your Instagram such that the first 3 photos make up one larger photo. No. Those are at odds with each other. Okay? The Kevin Garnett photo, that's planted. The whole thing is bullshit. I think he's going to win like the next 6 MVPs, but I guarantee you he does not read those books. It's like, no way. Maybe he's reading the Sarah J. Maas books, but he's not reading the fucking Lord of the Rings.
Do you give him credit for pretending to do that instead of? I mean, obviously, I think Michael Porter Jr. The most you can say for him is that he's really listening to all of the very long, very bad podcasts that he appears. So, do you give him more points for being his authentic self for listening to like Bussin' with the Boys or whatever the Nelk shit is than you do because I feel like getting pictured carrying a book around is, and when you definitely are not reading, is like pretty replacement level celebrity behavior at this point, right?
I think it's the tension of this podcast. Is like, do we want the Michael Porter Juniors or do we want the Wembys?
Yeah, and as a lifelong fan of MPJ's work, I have to say this is a big summer for me.
Yeah. Not as a player either. Patrick's never really cared for him as a player. He just thinks of him as being as a public intellectual.
I don't even watch
guess.
the NBA anyway.
I don't really
just watch
care
YouTube.
about that shit. He's monitoring different Aura readouts. He's looking at thousands of Muse accounts, but not actual games.
Maybe we could end here. I've gone back and forth on this, but do you guys think that this offseason is going to lead to a promising career or a promising season for my MPJ or not? Because he's got really, really high upside. He's can shoot the shit out of the ball when he's right, and he's 6'10", and he's gonna get a lot of shots in Brooklyn. I had the thought initially of he's got nothing going on in his brain except for YouTube videos and shooting threes, and I'm like, I kind of want that guy on my team.
Yeah.
But then I was like, he might be too lost in the sauce. So where do you guys?
He's going to get guarded by good defenders for the first time. Like, I think we're going to realize that he was like a pure Jokic merchant, and he's going to have a horrible season.
Yeah, he was never a great mover to me. Like, he's got some Frankenstein in his game that you don't necessarily want, like just the back completely straight as he is pounding the ball into the floor. I think he'll put up numbers, but I think that this is like Cam Thomas put up numbers with the Nets, like that this is just one of those things, like somebody has to score 19 points a game for that team.
We didn't talk about the Cam Thomas, Zach Lowe thing, but that was another premium NBA offseason moment.
Cam Thomas still underemployed, right? Has not.
None of the restricted free agent guys got deals basically. Like the Kuminga thing is
holding waiting for Kuminga.
All of Northern California men's professional basketball hostage. The Giddey thing is unresolved. It's not a good situation.
This book comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say Changeover by Josh Giddey. Comes out tomorrow. Listen to him on the tennis pod. No, I have read Giddey Nathan's book Changeover. It's really good. Maitreyi, your interview with him drops soon, right?
Tomorrow. When whatever book comes out, Tuesday, August 19th.
Hell Sweet. Yeah. Well,
Harry, did you weigh in on the Porter thing? Did you have?
Sorry, we derailed that and started talking about tennis.
No, as you should. I of course, all good. I think he's gonna have a bad year. But my concern was more like. There is actually another thing he says on the Steiny Pod that's really concerning, just about his basketball ability. Is he was like, yeah, I used to get into. Actually, again, these conversations sort of exist in an avant-garde space where Steiny was like, "Do you ever talk shit to people?" And then Michael Porter Jr. goes, "I haven't been able to enter a flow state playing basketball since I got injured." And when he said that, I was like, "That sounds bad. That you have not sort of had a flow state." Basically since he's been in the NBA. So, and then Steiny was like, "So that's a no. You're not talking shit." Like it's really is incredible. But so I think sadly no. But who will have a good season? Look at that. Will be this podcast. We are now we are now officially part of the Defector universe. It's very exciting. Maitreyi is going to be coming on to talk throughout the season as the playoffs especially heat up. And Roth, thank you. You were the.
I will not be returning.
Yeah, you will as well.
Yeah, you've done your one tour of duty.
Thanks. Yeah, goal is to appear once on every podcast that exists.
Ever.
Yeah, so I'm all set here. This is
another
great.
One off the list.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got to get on with the Nilk fellows right after this.
MPJ announced that his exclusive interview with Johnny Manziel drops at 2 p.m. Pacific today. So
fantastic.
We'll have to record.
Is that true?
Yes, we'll have to record a sort of addendum after that. So
emergency podcast.
Yeah, I'll see you guys here in 5 hours.
Thank you for having me. I'm very glad that the podcast is now officially linked to Defector. I think this is what our readers and subscribers and listeners crave.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys.
Appreciate it.